What if I told you that the reason your dog pulls on the leash, barks at the window, or falls apart the moment you walk out the door has almost nothing to do with your dog? I know how that sounds. You've lived with this behavior for months, maybe years. You've watched the videos. You've tried the treats, the firm voice, the calm voice, the patient voice. You've repeated the same command until the word lost all meaning. And still, something isn't working. So let me ask you something. What if you could finally fix the embarrassing, stressful behaviors that have been wearing you down? The reactivity, the constant pulling, the anxiety. Without ever raising your voice, without harsh corrections, and without spending hours a day drilling commands that don't seem to stick anyway. That's the promise I'm making to you in the next half hour. Not a trick, not a quick fix. A complete shift in how you understand the animal sitting beside you right now. Because here's the truth that took me years to see clearly, and it's the truth this entire video is built around. Your dog isn't disobeying you. They're reacting to what you're transmitting. Hold on to that phrase. Your dog is responding to what you transmit. It's going to come back again and again, and by the end, it's going to mean something very different than it does right now. Let me tell you who this is for, because I don't want to waste your time. This is for the person who loves their dog deeply. Like, really deeply. The kind of love that makes you feel a little silly sometimes. Because it's just a dog, right? Except it never felt that way. Not for a second. This is for the owner who's tried everything and quietly started to wonder, late at night, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. If you've ever felt judged on a walk because your dog lunged at another dog, if you've ever come home to destruction and felt the guilt before you even opened the door, if you've ever stood in a park calling a name that meant absolutely nothing to the dog ignoring you across the field, then you are exactly who I made this for. And here's what I want you to know before we go one step further. You are not failing your dog, and your dog is not broken. Something else is going on. Something quieter and far more invisible than you've been led to believe. You're not doing it wrong. Traditional dog training is just missing the biological piece. That's it. That's the whole gap. And in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to close it. So what are we actually covering today? I'm going to walk you through 3 secrets, 3 shifts in understanding that once you see them, you will never be able to unsee. Each one dismantles a belief that traditional training quietly handed you, a belief that's been keeping you stuck this entire time. The first secret is about why your commands stop working the moment your dog gets excited. The second is about the single biggest myth in dog training, the one that's been making you feel like you're not dominant enough. And the third is about anxiety. Why your dog seems to spiral the moment you leave, and the invisible mistake you're making minutes before you even reach the door. 3 secrets. 1 method underneath all of them. By the end, you'll understand your dog better than 99% of owners ever will. So stay with me, because the first secret changes everything about how you see that leash in your hand. Let's start with the moment that breaks most owners. You're on a walk, everything's fine. And then your dog spots another dog across the street. In an instant, they transform. The pulling, the lunging, the barking, and you're standing there, saying their name, saying sit, saying no, saying anything. And it's like you've become invisible, like your dog has gone completely deaf. Here's the objection I hear all the time. My dog is just stubborn, or maybe aggressive. I've tried treats, I've tried firm commands, but the second another dog shows up, nothing works. I want to free you from that belief right now because it's wrong, and it's been hurting both of you. This is secret number 1. I call it the command illusion. And it's the illusion that your words have power in the moments that matter most. Here's the science. And once you understand it, you'll never see a stubborn dog the same way again. Verbal commands, sit, stay, come, those get processed in the thinking, logical layer of your dog's brain. But reactivity? Reactivity doesn't live there. Reactivity lives in the limbic system, the survival brain, the ancient, fast, emotional engine that exists for one reason: to keep your dog alive. When your dog locks on to that other dog across the street and their stress spikes, their body floods with cortisol. And here's the part nobody tells you. When a dog hits that peak of cortisol, they literally go deaf to commands. Not figuratively, functionally. The part of the brain that decodes sit goes quiet, and the survival brain takes the wheel. So think about it. You're standing there repeating sit, 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 and you're speaking to a part of the brain that has temporarily left the building. You're not reaching a stubborn dog. You're reaching a flooded one. Your dog isn't ignoring your command. They're reacting to their own nervous system. Picture a thermometer for a second. At the bottom, the green zone. That's where your dog is calm, regulated, and yes, able to actually hear you. As stress climbs, you move up into the red zone. And in the red zone, no command in the world gets through. It's not a discipline problem. It's a biology problem. So how do experienced handlers stop reactivity? Here's the secret inside the secret. They don't stop it by talking louder. You don't outshout the red zone. You deactivate it. You work on nervous system regulation, breaking the stress cycle before the flood, not after. And this is the part that's going to land hard. You, your body, your breath, your energy are part of that thermometer. When your dog feels you tighten on the leash, when they feel your jaw clench and your shoulder lock up, what are you doing? You're adding heat. You're pushing them further into the red, which raises a question I want you to sit with as we move forward. If your tension is part of what tips your dog into the red zone, then what would happen if you learn to regulate yourself first? Hold that thought, because it's the thread that ties all 3 secrets together. For now, here's what I need you to take from secret number 1. You cannot command your way out of reactivity. You can only regulate your way out of it. The leash was never the problem. The nervous system was. Which brings us to the second secret. And this one might sting a little, because it's a belief almost every dog owner has been handed. And it's done a tremendous amount of quiet damage. Here's the objection. Look, I'm just not a dominant person. I don't have a firm enough hand. I'm too soft. And honestly, I don't have hours a day to spend establishing myself as the leader of the pack. If any version of that has ever crossed your mind, I have genuinely good news. You've been carrying a weight that was never yours to carry. This is secret number 2. I call it the alpha dog myth. For decades, dog owners were told that the secret to obedience was dominance. That your dog is constantly trying to climb the social ladder, challenge you, become the alpha of the household. And that your job, therefore, is to be more dominant. Stand taller, be sterner, never let them win. Here's the problem. That entire theory is built on a misunderstanding. One that even the researcher whose early work inspired it later spent years trying to correct. Dogs in your home are not wolves locked in a power struggle. Your dog is not lying on the kitchen floor plotting a coup. So if your dog isn't trying to dominate you, what's actually happening when they ignore you, when they blow off a command, when they bounce off the walls and can't seem to settle? They're not dominant. They're dysregulated. Read that again, because it changes everything. A dog who won't settle, who jumps on guests, who barks at every sound at the window, who tests every limit. That dog isn't staging a rebellion. That dog is swimming in an environment that's transmitting anxiety, inconsistency, and tension. And they have no idea how to regulate against it. They're not fighting you for control. They're drowning and looking for an anchor. And here is the epiphany at the center of this whole method. Obedience does not require dominance. Obedience requires attunement. Your dog doesn't need a bigger, scarier version of you. They need a clearer, calmer, more consistent version of you. They don't need a pack leader barking orders. They need a nervous system they can sync with. One that says, through breath and posture and timing, I've got this. You can relax. You can follow me. This is what I mean by emotional attunement. And it's the heartbeat of the emotional sync method. Your dog is, at a biological level, a mirror. They've spent tens of thousands of years evolving alongside humans, developing an almost supernatural ability to read our emotional states. They feel the shift in your energy before you're even conscious of it yourself. When your heart rate climbs, theirs tends to follow. They read your body the way a tuning fork picks up a vibration. So when you walk into a room scattered and stressed and you say, calm down, your dog isn't hearing the word. They're reading your body, and your body is screaming the opposite. You're saying calm. You're transmitting urgent. And every single time, the body wins. Let me show you the cycle that flows from this, because it's the engine of the entire method. And once you see it, you'll start spotting it everywhere. It's a loop with 5 parts: awareness, regulation, signal, reinforcement, trust. It works like this. First, you become aware of your own internal state. You notice the tension before it leaks out. Then you regulate it, so your transmission is clean. Then you send a signal that's clear and aligned, body and intention pointing the same direction. Then you reinforce the response with the right timing. And all of that builds trust, which makes the next interaction easier, which makes awareness easier, and the loop turns again, a little smoother each time. But here's the warning hidden inside the cycle. Miss one piece, and the whole thing collapses back into static. Skip the regulation, and your signal is clouded. Let your reinforcement arrive 3 seconds too late, and your dog learns the wrong lesson. One broken link, and you're back in the noise. For now, I want you to focus on the second element, regulation, because it's the one that breaks the alpha myth wide open. Notice what it isn't. It isn't dominance. It isn't force. It isn't standing taller or sounding meaner. It's the simple, almost embarrassingly quiet act of dropping your own shoulders, releasing your own jaw, and letting your body arrive at something genuinely calmer before you ask your dog for anything at all. A tense owner barking commands transmits chaos. A regulated owner, even an imperfect one, transmits safety. And a dog who feels safe doesn't need to be dominated. They simply follow. Not because they were forced to, because you finally became someone worth following. So here's the question I'll leave hanging before we get to the third secret. If your dog is a mirror, and if everything you transmit comes back to you, then what exactly have you been transmitting in the one moment that hurts the most? The moment you walk out that door? Because that's where the third secret lives. And it's the one that surprises people the most, because the fix is the exact opposite of what your instinct tells you to do. Let's talk about separation anxiety, the whining, the howling, the destroyed furniture, the dog who paces and follows you from room to room in the hour before you leave. who can't settle, who seems to come apart the moment that door clicks shut. And the guilt. That heavy, sinking guilt that follows you out the door and sits with you all day long. Here's the objection, and it's the one that breaks my heart the most. My dog came from a shelter. They have abandonment trauma. This is just who they are. It can't be fixed without medication. It's permanent. I want to gently challenge that. Because while trauma is real and severe cases absolutely deserve professional support, what I'm about to tell you accounts for far more separation anxiety than most people ever realize. This is secret number 3. I call it the invisible errors of anxiety. Here's the reframe. In a huge number of cases, your dog's separation anxiety is not a wound from the past. It's a reaction to the present. Specifically, it's a reaction to the invisible errors you're making in the 10 minutes before you walk out the door. Think about what your departure routine actually looks like. The long, drawn-out goodbye. The extra sad voice. "I'm so sorry, buddy. I'll be back soon. I promise. I feel terrible." The lingering pets. The apologetic energy radiating off of you in waves. You think you're comforting your dog. But remember, your dog is a mirror. They don't understand the words. They read the signal. And the signal you're broadcasting, with your guilt and your sadness and your dread, is this. Something is wrong. Something bad is about to happen. Be afraid. Your dog isn't anxious because they remember being abandoned. They're anxious because you, without meaning to, just told them to be. Their alarm is a reflection of your guilt. The mirror is showing you exactly what you handed it. And it works the other way too. The dramatic, explosive reunion when you come home. The high-pitched voice, the frantic energy, the celebration like you've returned from war. That teaches your dog that your departures and arrivals are enormous, emotionally charged events. Which means the absence in between becomes something enormous too. You're not soothing the anxiety, you're feeding it. So here's how the method rewrites this, and it starts exactly where it always starts. With you. Awareness first. Before you leave, you check in with yourself. What am I transmitting? Am I guilty? Rushed? Apologetic? Your dog is already reading all of it. Then you regulate. Not to suppress your love, your dog isn't fooled by performance, but to genuinely bring a calm, matter-of-fact quality to the whole thing. Then you build a departure ritual. The same sequence of small actions every single time, delivered with the same settled energy. Coat, keys, one calm word. "Back soon," said once, without drama. And then you simply leave. The ritual itself becomes the signal. And the message that ritual sends over time isn't goodbye forever. It's this is normal, and I always come back. This is the heart of what I call the 10-second sync reset. And it's the single most powerful tool I can hand you today. Before any interaction, before you open the door, before you clip the leash, before you call their name, you stop for 10 seconds. You notice your state. You adjust it with one slow exhale and dropped shoulders. And you connect to this moment, this dog right now. Then, and only then, you act. Because here's the truth that changes the biological signature of your entire departure. Predictability is safety. A dog who can predict what happens is a dog who can relax. You're not teaching your dog that leaving is fine. You're teaching them that it's predictable. And predictable to a nervous system is the same thing as safe. Now step back with me for a moment. because I want you to see the thread that runs through all three of these secrets. The command illusion, the alpha dog myth, the invisible errors of anxiety. 3 different problems. 3 different behaviors that probably felt completely unrelated when you walked in, and yet every single one of them pointed back to the exact same place. An unregulated state, an unclear signal, a nervous system looking for relief it wasn't finding. A gap between what you intended and what you actually transmitted. Different behaviors, same cause. The reactivity and the disobedience and the separation anxiety. They're not 5 problems, or 3 problems, or 100 problems. They're one conversation, spoken in different dialects. And the conversation is your dog saying, over and over, in the only language they have. I don't know what's expected. I can't predict what comes next. I don't have a clear signal to follow. I'm doing the best I can with what you've given me. Which means the solution isn't 100 different techniques. It's one method, applied with consistency across every context. Pause. Regulate. Signal once, clearly. Reinforce the calm. That's the whole thing. 4 steps, 10 seconds. And it works on every difficult moment you will ever have with your dog. And the anti-errors, the things you stop doing. You stop repeating the command. You stop raising your voice. You stop punishing after a delay. You stop acting from a reactive state. Because every one of those does the same thing. It adds noise to a system that's already drowning in it. Now let me be honest with you about something, because I respect you too much not to be. Everything I've shared today is real. The science is real. The method works. And what you've just learned is genuinely more than most dog owners ever understand in their entire lives. You could close this video right now, apply just the 10-second sync reset, and see real change. But 3 secrets is not the whole map. What I've given you today is the why, the shift in how you see your dog, the understanding that you are the variable, not them, and that understanding is the foundation everything else is built on. What I haven't been able to give you in 30 minutes is the complete, step-by-step system. The full 5-element cycle, applied in detail to every single problem. The exact departure ritual sequences. The loose leash protocol where your stillness becomes the signal. The way to read your dog's real-time feedback so you know precisely when to push and when to rest. The specific, layer-by-layer roadmap for taking a dog from reactive and anxious to settled and trusting. That's why I wrote the book. It's called The Dog Who Understands You. And it takes everything we touched on today and turns it into a complete, gentle, science-based path you can actually walk, one clear step at a time. Inside, you'll find the full emotional sync method broken down into something you can use tomorrow morning. You'll find the 5 invisible errors that almost every owner makes without realizing it, and exactly how to undo each one. You'll find real, root cause solutions for separation anxiety, excessive barking, leash pulling, destructive behavior, and ignored commands, explained not as surface behaviors to suppress, but as messages to finally decode. This is not a training manual. It's a guide to becoming someone your dog can trust. And before you even think about the book, I want to give you something completely free right now to start with today. It's called the Emotional Sync Checklist. 10 things to check before every single interaction with your dog. It's the 10-second sync reset, turned into something you can print and put on your fridge. So the pause becomes a habit before you even realize you're doing it. You'll find it, along with the book, linked for you right below this video and in the Community tab. Go grab the free checklist first. It costs you nothing, and it will start changing your walks this week. Here's where I want to leave you. Think back to where you were 30 minutes ago. You walked in here with a dog who pulls, or barks, or panics, or ignores you, and a quiet, heavy belief that maybe the problem was them, or maybe the problem was you. But now you know the truth. Your dog was never the problem. They were never disobeying you, never dominating you, never broken by some unfixable past. They were doing exactly what they were built to do, reading you with extraordinary precision and responding to whatever you transmitted. Your dog has been trying to understand you all along. They've been reading every breath, every posture, every flicker of tension, patiently since the first day you met. And the only thing that ever stood between you was clarity. So here's the last time I'll say it. And this time, I think you'll feel what it really means. Your dog is responding to what you transmit. That's all it ever was. And starting today, with one breath, one regulated moment, one clear signal, you finally get to transmit something worth following. Go download the free checklist. Take a look at the book if you're ready to go deeper, and then go sit with your dog. Say nothing at all and just notice how they look at you, because they've been waiting for this version of you all along.